Hello, this is Lilian, welcoming you to the 1896th edition of the Enfield Talking Newspaper, Dateline the 21st of March 2013. The readers this week are Joan, Beverly, Rod and myself, with Cassandra and Colin, although Colin unfortunately isn't with us tonight, on the controls. I've been asked to read this. The items that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, and are their copyright. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Boulon, Harry Brewer, and performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and is used with his kind permission. Local stories include GP's group handed the purse strings to buy in bulk of health services, and health funding is not enough to meet needs, and investigation launched into cause of gas leak, and benefit cut for mums, a new low. And I have one special news item. It's for Enfield Vision. It's the forum meeting for Enfield Vision, scheduled for the 1st of April, will not now take place because of Easter. That's it. And what I also have to read is, if you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 0208 805 6578. She is your listener's representative, and she will be pleased to help you. And now over to Joan, who will read the first item of local news.
Neighbours say everyone pulled together when they were evacuated from their homes due to a major gas leak. Enfield Borough Council contractors were resurfacing St Andrews Road on Monday night when they struck an unexpectedly shallow gas main, which was fitted approximately 2 inches below the road surface. Police arrived in force from 12:30 a.m. on Tuesday to wake everyone living in the Enfield Town Street and take them to Enfield Civic Centre, where they were provided with blankets and hot drinks. Approximately 180 people were evacuated and were not allowed home until after 6 a.m. Paul Jones, 47, who lives in St Andrews Road, was taken to safety with his mother and sister. He said, "It was annoying, obviously, because I wanted to be asleep, but to be honest, I think most people just wanted to be safe." However, he said everyone pulled together, and he enjoyed seeing neighbours he had not seen for a long time. He said there was a real sense of community spirit as people waited to return home, and said families were kept informed of progress on the repair work. Enfield Town was blocked off within a mile radius of the gas leak, and Enfield Town Railway Station was also closed while emergency repairs were underway. Victor Tobin, 72, said he heard a terrible noise outside, but he believed it was caused by work on the road, which had been started the previous night. He said he and his wife slept through calls from the police and were not woken until approximately 3 a.m. when officers knocked on their door. Mr. Tobin, who believes they were the last people to be evacuated from the street, said it was disgusting to hear the gas main was so close to the road surface. Adriana de Souza, who has lived in St Andrews Road for 20 years, said the evacuation was surreal and was like a film. She said some of the neighbours took their dogs. I kept thinking, If my house explodes, it would be horrendous. And do I take my cat? A statement from the council said, the gas main was unexpectedly shallow below the road surface, potentially leaving it open to damage from heavy vehicles travelling along the road. We would expect a gas main of this size to be at least 60 centimetres below the road surface. And we are already liaising with National Grid Gas to understand why the main had been installed in this way, and to agree that any permanent repair will be rerouted at a lower depth. The gas main has been made safe, and the contractor was able to open the road by late morning. Now, Anthony Quarrell of National Grid said the gas main was located in a bridge. A 500-metre cordon was set up by the emergency services, and people in the surrounding area were evacuated as a precaution. An investigation is being carried out, and we will work closely with Enfield Borough Council to determine the circumstances that led to this incident.
Enfield politicians have raised concerns over the level of public health funding the borough is set to receive from the government. Figures have revealed huge discrepancies in the level of funding from borough to borough, with Enfield getting £36 per head compared to £126 for Kensington and Chelsea and £108 for Camden. Neighbouring boroughs, Haringey and Barnet, will receive £62 and £35 per head respectively. As of April 1st, local authorities will take charge of a number of additional public health responsibilities previously administered by the NHS, including drug services, sexual health, school nursing and health checks, as well as giving advice to health commissioners. Enfield Council is set to receive £11.8 million over the next financial year, but has a funding target of £50 a head, which means it needs approximately £18 million. Last year, the authority revealed that 25.2% of children in Enfield are clinically obese, outstripping the England average by 6%. And there are considerable health inequalities. The life expectancy for women in the Highlands area is 90 years, while in Upper Edmonton it is 77. The borough is also experiencing rapid population growth, a result of migration and rising birth rates in the east of the borough. Christine Hamilton, Cabinet Member for Public Health, said, "We are not getting the funding to match the new responsibilities we are being asked to take on. We have huge health inequalities in Enfield, with 4,000 people moving into the borough per year, one of the highest levels of child obesity in London, and we need the funding to address these issues." Andy Love, MP for Edmonton, said, "We face a situation where councils with the highest need will receive far, far less than wealthy councils with healthier residents. In a constituency like mine, where the rates of heart disease and death by treatable illnesses are very high, we need more resources than will be available to increase well-being." A spokeswoman for the Department of Health said that the levels of funding were based on the historical spend on public health, and that it was supporting councils to move towards their target level of funding over a period of time. She added, Enfield Council will be receiving £12.9 million in 2013 to 14, which represents a real terms increase in funding. It will increase by 21% over the next 2 years.
A Labour MP has attacked the government for benefit cuts he claims will hit mothers the hardest. Edmonton MP Andy Love fears changes to benefits, which will come into force next month, will mean new mums will be worse off. As a result, the MP has launched a campaign, Mums Not Millionaires, in Edmonton, which calls on the government to protect benefits for new mothers. He said, "There seems to be no end to this government's assault on hard-working people. If it's not the low-paid being hit by the housing benefit cap, it's the disabled being clobbered by the bedroom tax. Now, in a new law, Mr Cameron appears to be targeting women, and in particular new mums, who face cuts to their maternity pay from next year. The government should be encouraging women to take time out from work to look after their babies in the early months of life, not adding to their stress by reducing their maternity pay. Meanwhile, Mr Love has also claimed Edmonton will lose out to the wealthier boroughs in public health funding when responsibility is transferred to the council. He fears the town will miss out on the key services as wealthier areas of the capital will receive more funding than Enfield. Enfield Borough Council will take over management of public health from April, and each authority will receive a ring-fenced grant to pay for staff and services. According to government figures, City of London Corporation will receive £192 per head as part of its public health budget, whereas Enfield will receive just £40 per head. Mr Love said, "In a constituency like mine, where the rates of heart disease and death by treatable illnesses are very high, we need more resources than will be available to increase well-being. With this level of underfunding, public health could be a ticking time bomb. I'm not sure how local partnerships will be able to provide the essential services that we all need."
Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group has been given the green light to start commissioning medical services 2 weeks before the implementation of the government's controversial health reforms. NHS chiefs announced on Monday that Enfield CCG, made up of GPs from the borough's 54 practices, has gained authorization to become a statutory body. It will plan, monitor and purchase a significant proportion of the health services in Enfield from April the 1st onwards. But the CCG, which will receive about £350 million annually, has a deficit currently estimated at £19.2 million, and health campaigners have warned that underfunding could damage health care provision in the borough. Monty Meth from the Enfield Over 50s Forum said, "The CCG has been given tremendous responsibility caring for the health of more than 312,000 Enfield residents. We wish them well as we monitor their performance, while they aim to address the deficit and break even by 2015 with an £18 million cut in the next financial year. This is at a time when we have an ageing population, developing more long-term conditions and more young children being born, creating even bigger demands on an already underfunded health budget in the borough." Alif Kazimoglu, chairwoman of Enfield Council's Health and Wellbeing Scrutiny Panel, said, "It is good that local clinicians have control over health services, but in many ways they have been handed a poisoned chalice. The government's health reforms will lead to a further fragmentation of the NHS, where some services will be provided in some boroughs and not in others. Furthermore, it opens up all services to private provision, which are perhaps less expensive in the short term, but as we have seen with utilities, will become more expensive in the future." Dr. Alpesh Patel, chairman of Enfield CCG, said, "Following rigorous assessment, NHS Enfield CCG met 112 of the required 119 criteria, with further work required for the remaining 7. The potential to influence decisions about the delivery of health services by local clinicians and stakeholders brings an opportunity to improve health outcomes and ensure that we get the best value for money for local patients."
Now here I have the leader of Enfield Council, Doug Taylor's column, headlined, "We're all in this together, so help make our streets the cleanest in London." Very soon, Enfield Council will be launching a new campaign which we hope will encourage residents to help us make our streets the cleanest in London. From the Enfield Residence Survey, we know people living here are happier than ever before about the quality of the services we are providing, despite significant government spending cuts. That includes record satisfaction with street cleaning, highways maintenance, and street lighting. But there is still too much littering and fly tipping. Despite the reduction in government funding in the past year, we have invested £8 million on improving the condition of Enfield's roads and pavements, and have spent a further £2.1 million on maintaining them. We have improved 20 kilometres of roads and 10 kilometres of pavements and refurbished 6 playgrounds in our parks. While making this investment, we are very aware of the importance of doing everything we can to create a more sustainable and affordable future. And by introducing wheeled bins for rubbish and recycling, we have helped residents increase our recycling rate to nearly 40% and saved around £3 million in landfill taxes because less rubbish is being sent to be buried. The new Cleaner Streets campaign will be focusing our efforts on tackling litter, fly tipping, household waste, dog fouling, and making sure any rubbish on our roads and pavements is cleared quickly and efficiently so our residents can continue to live in a clean and tidy borough. But we also want people in and around Enfield to play their part and help us achieve similar successes and savings in our street cleaning that they have in recycling by encouraging them to help us keep our streets clean and reduce the amount we have to spend cleaning up after people. While we have some of the best and cleanest streets in London, we cannot rest on our laurels, and we are constantly seeking to improve our performance. That means looking to do things in different ways which achieve even better results than before. This is something where we really are all in it together and can all make a real difference.
Pupils at an Enfield school have boosted their reading age by up to 3 years in just 6 weeks, thanks to a remarkable new literacy course. A group of 24 students from Oasis Academy Enfield in Kinetic Crescent Enfield Lock have dramatically improved their reading and writing skills with help from the Sound Training for Reading programme. Since the scheme started in September, more than half the students who are from years 10 and 11 have improved their reading age by 3 years and 4 months. The school's principal, Paul Hammond, explained that many pupils had excellent communication skills, but often struggled in exam conditions. He said, "It's the next level of language where you need to understand the subtle nuances of words. This can be a barrier in exams." The Sound Training for Reading programme has already been used around the country at different types of schools, with older students to give them a better chance of gaining good exam results. It's that final push to get them over the finish line. The programme has been running at different schools across the country for 18 months. Each course combines one-on-one teaching with online resources to improve students' vocabulary and word recognition. It was funded by the government's Pupil Premium Scheme, which allocates extra funding for schools with students who are eligible for free school meals. The Sound Training for Reading programme can provide teaching staff, but Mr. Hammond instead chose to train up teachers who already worked for the Academy as a long-term investment in the scheme. We have seen some remarkable improvements that have been sustained, so it is not just a short-term boost, he added. It is a great way to bridge the attainment gap between students who can claim free school meals and their peers.
2 mini parks will be created in Enfield as part of a new scheme aimed at transforming the capital's green spaces. Angel Community Garden in Rays Road, Edmonton Green, and Albany Pocket Park in Enfield Wash will be created as part of the Mayor of London's Pocket Parks scheme. Work is already beginning on the new parks, which has been funded by City Hall to the tune of £85,000. Angel Community Garden, a derelict park that is to be revitalised, will be used for community events and food growing projects aimed at boosting employment and apprenticeships. Albany Pocket Park will be outside Albany Leisure Centre in Hertford Road and will feature play activities and a fun welcoming route into the rest of Albany Park. It is hoped the new Pocket Park will help to kick-start improvements to the main park. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Business and Regeneration, Del Goddard, said, "The creation of these pocket parks will help to drive the regeneration of these areas, instill a sense of pride in the community and help provide high-quality open spaces for people to enjoy. In total, there will be 100 pocket parks around London, and all of the work is due to be completed by March 2015.
I have Howard Medwell's column. I believe he deals with left side. Don't know what that means, but there you go. And he says, this year promises to be agonising for the Conservative Party. It started with ructions about gay marriage. Now there are 1 or 2 MPs like Enfield Southgate's David Burrows who oppose gay marriage on the basis of sincerely held religious beliefs. But for most Tories, the obsession with this minor issue is a symptom of deeper discontents. In Queen Victoria's days, the Tories were often called the stupid party. This did not, of course, refer to their leaders. No historian would describe Disraeli or Sir Robert Peel as stupid. It was the Tory rank and file who were seen as bigoted and ignorant. For nearly 150 years, the Conservatives were Europe's greatest political success story, never pretending to be anything other than the rich man's party. They still managed to win massive support from ordinary people. The working-class Tories were what made British politics different. Normal people facing the same pressures at home and at work as the rest of us do, yet happy to vote for a party which stood for bosses, bankers and landlords. Prime Minister David Cameron's problem is that the interests of big business can no longer be reconciled with the instinctive views of Conservative voters. To take one obvious example, many Tories would like to campaign against immigration, but business is all in favour of immigration. British bosses prefer to recruit skilled workers from Eastern Europe and not spend money on job training for local school leavers. This is where UKIP fits in, a party for working-class Tories who want to let it all hang out. However, UKIP is a businessman's party too, and its leader, Nigel Farage, used to be a commodities trader in the city. I predict splits, breakaways and short-lived alliances on the centre-right. It's a pity we haven't got a left-wing party. It could profit from this situation.
Council houses in Enfield have condemned new proposals aimed at easing congestion on a stretch of the M25. The boss is saying the scheme is not safe. In a bid to reduce the number of accidents on the section of the motorway that passes through Enfield between junctions 23 and 27, the Highways Agency is planning a managed scheme that will allow drivers to use the hard shoulder during the rush hour. It also wants to introduce variable speed limits in a bid to avoid jams. But transport chiefs at Enfield Council have attacked the plans, which they believe will slow down emergency vehicles, which often have to be driven on the hard shoulder when rushing to the scene of an accident. Cabinet Member for the Environment Chris Bond said, "We support the principle of extra capacity on the M25 because that will provide significant benefits for residents and businesses in the borough. But road safety is a more important consideration for us, and we believe that this scheme should be reconsidered. Council bosses are also perplexed by the highway agency's decision to take away street lights from the Enfield stretch of the motorway. And they have questioned where drivers with broken-down cars will be able to pull over. However, an agency spokesman told the Advertiser, "There will be refuge areas along the motorway that are lay-bys which drivers can pull into if they do experience car trouble, and most cars nowadays have a go-slow or warning system, which means they should be able to limp along to one of these areas. However, if there was a crash or a car simply conks out, we have sensors in the road that can send signals to our control teams, who can then close lanes, allowing emergency vehicles to get through." He added that the decision was not to replace lights along the Enfield section of the motorway, but was based on careful calculation of whether street lights were needed on that part of the road.
Songbirds ready to raise their voices are being urged to join a community choir. Simon Gilbert, who set up the Community Singers just over a year ago, is searching for new faces to join his 40-strong group. Although a love for singing is a must, Mr. Gilbert hopes people of all abilities and ages will get involved in the rehearsals every Tuesday at 7:45 p.m. in the Millfields Arts Centre in Silver Street in Edmonton. Mr. Gilbert, who sang alongside Pavarotti at the Edinburgh Festival in the 1960s, said people should join as singing is good for the soul, and the choir allows people to let off steam while enjoying the social side of weekly rehearsals. He's looking for 15 to 20 more people to take part in future shows, including a performance at St Mary Magdalene Church in Windmill Hill in September. Each session costs £5. For more information, email Mr. Gilbert at simon@letthepeoplesing.co.uk or call 0208 360 7386. Well, there's an offer, isn't it, eh? That sounds good to me.
You joining?
We have now reached the end of side 1 of this tape. Please stop your machine now, take out the cassette, turn it over and start side 2.